Hello, good morning. I hope everybody is doing well. We are talking about content creation today. I have some 5 key points that we're going to talk about before we go through an example of what it looks like to be creating content that your audience is going to want to look at. So, first and foremost, we're going to talk about some identity truths. Who you are is not what you sell. When we are putting things out onto social media, it is first and foremost that they want to see you. They want to see what you are doing in your life. They don't want to just see what your product is. You do not become your product. You are you, and then your product is something that just enhances your life that you want to be able to share with other people. Number 2, it is super important that we know who are we going to market to, because when we try to talk to everybody, we end up talking to nobody. We don't want to be screaming in a crowd about what we have to offer people, rather than trying to hone in who exactly do we want to talk to. And sometimes that can be a bit confusing, trying to figure out, okay, who do I want to talk to? And am I narrowing it down too much? If I narrow it down too much, does that mean that nobody's going to be buying my product or nobody's going to want to join me? And actually the opposite is true. When you hone in on who exactly you want to be speaking to, and you talk directly to that clientele, they're going to hear you more directly. So for example, for me, I am a CrossFit coach. I'm passionate about exercise. So I mainly market to moms that are trying to get back into shape, moms who at one time were very active, but then motherhood happened, babies happened, life happened, and now they're finding themselves in a place where they don't recognize themselves anymore, and they're trying to get back onto that healthy train. Maybe they're a mama that dealt with postpartum depression. And I have some different bullet points specifically about this mom who is still, deep down inside, she has passion for exercise, but just has lost it along the way. So I have bullet points on exactly what she likes and who she is. And I really narrowed that down, which has allowed me to be able to work with people that I'm best suited to work with. So if that's something that you're interested in, give me a holler and we can talk more in depth about that, because that is a whole different other training. Number 3, what we do is we help people solve internal problems. Yes, that Plexus does address an external issue that someone is having, but we really are addressing how can we help this person be able to feel better. It's not just them being able to have better gut health or for them to have more money in their bank. How does that make them feel? Because a driving force for someone to want to try our products is how they are feeling. If someone is exhausted and can't get up the couch, they feel chained to their couch. They feel like they're not a good mom. And so how can Plexus aid them in order to not feel that way anymore? Number 4, our goal with our content is simple and clear. You don't want to be talking about 5 different things that Plexus has helped you with. That starts to make a post, first of all, way too long, which speaking from experience, I have done this many times where I have tried to put too many bullet points into one post. And when you try to put too many bullet points into one post, it is overwhelming for your reader. And they start seeing, they keep scrolling, and they have to keep going and going. And they're like, yep, I'm moving on. I'm not even going to read that. And they just skim right past and keep scrolling. So you want to keep it simple and to the point. We typically want to choose one frustration that someone is dealing with. And that's also going to allow us to be able to have more content, because we have a lot more bullet points that we can address in different separate posts. So we are choosing, so number 5, we are choosing one problem, and we're going to touch on 4 different areas with that one problem. So you're going to create a really solid post by naming the one problem, naming what is the external problem with that problem. So someone is chronically fatigued. What is the external problem? The external problem is they are so tired that they're not able to get things done in their to-do list. Then you'll have a third point, how does this make them feel? We have a 4th point, why is it unjust for that person to suffer at hand with that problem? Why is it not fair for them to have to continually be chronically fatigued? How can we help them with that? So you're going to choose that one problem. You're going to address it with those 4 different points. After you have addressed it with those 4 different points, you're going to want to highlight your story. You're going to want to highlight a part, because most of us have a point in which we were super tired, and that is what drew us to Plexus. That is what really made us want to try it. And now if you're not someone who was chronically fatigued, you can choose a different problem to address. You don't have to choose that one. That's just something that I'm addressing because it's something that I can also relate to. So I am going to give my personal experience about why was I chronically fatigued and how did Plexus help me and how did it make me feel, going through those 4 points and naming how was that unjust. And an example of someone who is chronically fatigued and how would that be unjust is that we have resources that allow us not just to be chained to sugar and junk, that allow us to be able to thrive and not just survive day to day. So there is a way for us to be able to get out of that. So now that you know that what the problem is, you know the feelings, you know why it's unjust, you've named a little bit of your story. Next, you're going to talk about how does Plexus help resolve some of those things? How does Plexus help with being chronically fatigued? Now, you're not going to want to use a bunch of scientific jargon. Most folks are not what we call a green personality, that are looking for what specific ingredient in Slim helps them be able not to be chronically fatigued. That's not exactly what they're looking for. They're looking for, what is it going to do for me? What is a simple routine going to do for someone who is chronically fatigued? We know that. We know that it's going to help balance their blood sugar. It's going to give them even energy throughout the day. It's not going to cause them to feel jittery, and it's going to make them feel balanced. They're going to be evenly balanced throughout the day, and they're going to have enough energy to get the things done on their to-do list. Now, the next point that you are going to want to hit that is really important, that I often also forget to do, is talking about an objection. What is an objection that someone could have before trying Plexus? Like, all these things sound great. You've had your chronic fatigue reduced. You aren't dealing with it nearly as often as you were. But now, what about if it doesn't work? So that's usually someone's question, like, how long is it going to take? And is it going to really work? And is it worth the investment of around $100? And so you're going to name what is something that you hear from your people all the time that is an objection. A lot of people, it's going to be money. And so you touch on that. Is it worth to be chronically fatigued, or is it worth investing a little bit into your health? That is a question you can pose in your post. And then you're going to do a call to action. And a lot of people miss this point. And so people don't hear about a sale that's going on. They don't know how to contact you, or they're not invited to talk to you. A lot of folks won't come to you unless you invite them to talk to you. So you're going to highlight whatever sale's going on. So for right now, for instance, they have it's $9.95 to join. And so it's really cheap for them to get a membership. Any specific sale that you're choosing to put on, maybe you're choosing to give them a free product. Maybe you're choosing to give $10 off. That is a great thing to highlight at the end of your post. Or you can simply invite them to a virtual coffee date. You can invite them just to have a conversation with you. Those are just some really simple ways to be able to invite people in to be able to talk to you. So I wanted to screen share with you guys also a just got one really quick. Oh, let me move this bar. It's in my way. Okay. Hopefully. I don't know if, I want to make sure y'all can see this. Hopefully you can. You should be able to be able to see this. So this is a great document to go through as you are writing your content. So this is basically recapping everything I just talked about, and it's in a nice little picture format. So our step one is giving your ideal client a name. I feel like this is super helpful if you think of someone specifically that you know that you could work really well with, that is someone in your niche market, or in other words, like someone that is your ideal client, okay? You're going to give that person a name. Maybe you specifically know that person, so you're just gonna name that person. Obviously, you're not gonna put that in your post, but this is just for you as you were creating your content. What does your ideal client want? What are they looking for? We had talked about before, chronically fatigued, maybe gut health, maybe they're looking for an extra income. Next is step three. What is their outward struggle? That was their external problem. And then next is what is their inward struggle? What is that feeling that they feel towards that external problem? And then how do you empathize, create authority, and build their belief in you? That is talking about like that unjust. What is unjust about whatever they're having to deal with? Because that creates a trust between you and them, because you're recognizing this is not fair for you to be going through this, and I want to be able to help you. Next is what objections do they have to the sale? So we had talked about that. Sometimes that is money. Sometimes that is this actually going to work for me? How long is it going to take for it to work? And that is just a short, one sentence, maybe a sentence and a half. And what plan or map to the results do you have? How are you specifically going to help them reach there? I use a lot of terms like, I'm going to link arms with you. I will be with you every step of the way. I have extensive knowledge and experience with exercise and supplementing, something along those lines that shows I'm going to help you, and these are specifically the ways that I can help you. Again, it's not long. It's a one sentence deal. The next step, what is their next step or call to action? What is the sale? Do you want to go on a virtual coffee date with them? Invite them to send you a message, inviting them to learn more about the product. These steps I typically don't always do, because they're usually addressed with the what objection to the sale, and then what plan or map to the results do you have. So paint the path to failure and paint the path to success is kind of repetitive, in my opinion. You're welcome to use that, but I find myself typically not using those two because they're already addressed with the previous two. But if you feel like you want to really hone in your point, you're welcome to do those. Last is, what is their overall identity transformation? What's going to change, with the chronic fatigue? They're no longer going to be tired. They're going to be able to get up off the couch, going to be able to play with their kids more. They're going to have the energy to want to go exercise again. They're going to want to start that hobby that they haven't done because they didn't have the energy to do so. Something along those lines that's going to change who they are right now, being chained to the couch, to who they're wanting to be, a more active individual to get the things done on their to-do list. All right, y'all. That was, let me stop my sharing. That was all that I had for you today. If you have any questions about content creation, please let me know. This can feel overwhelming to start. All of this, you're like, oh my gosh, you just said like 5 million different steps. How do I even start this? How you're going to first start is just writing a list of problems that someone has. What are the external problems? And then how do they feel about them? And then you're just going to frame posts around that. And that makes content authentic and original to you. That's not just copy and pasting. Now, I will see a post from somebody else and I'm like, ooh, I really like that. I like the bones of it. And then I'm going to change it so that it sounds like me, so that I am hitting the key points that I want to hit within that post. I will take time in my day to make sure I am creating content, because that is our sale sign. That is says we are open. I'm open for business. So if we're not actively posting, then people don't know that our business is open, and they want to hear you. They want to hear your words. And this is a way for you to be able to frame how to put what you have in your mind, how to put it down onto paper, how to put it down into a post specifically. I have a notes part in my phone, and I use, it's called Evernote. I think on iPhone there's a note section, and I'm sure on Android there is as well. I have a little, it's called, I just do posting ideas, and I just have a bunch of different things that maybe I'm sitting there thinking about, and I'll just jot down the idea, and then I'll go back later and frame that post. Now you'll get to the point where you don't have to use that sheet. You don't have to do those things. It will come naturally. You can do this as well, just with an experience that you've had. It doesn't have to just be a Plexus post that you're using this framework. Whatever you're doing, make sure that you're telling a story. People want to hear a story. They want to hear from you. A picture of you and your kiddo is awesome, but maybe tell a story about what was going on in that day. Maybe you had an inward or an outward struggle that happened that day, and something you were able to overcome. Write about it in your post. Make sure that you are being a storyteller, because people crave knowing more about you. All right, y'all. Have a good day.